Maybe on the outside, everything looks fine. Good job, good status, good image. But inside, there's a voice that won't shut up, one that says, you don't fit in. No matter how much you achieve, you still feel less than enough. Some people have to climb the ladder of success to feel valuable. Others turn to social media, degrees, and routines, all in the hope of seeing something more, of finding something more. And some people, like Zacchaeus, climb a tree.
My name is Zacchaeus. Most people only remember that I was short, as if that was my whole story. But no one talks about what really made me small. It wasn't my height, it was my loneliness, it was my guilt. I was the chief tax collector. Rich, yes, but at the expense of people who hated me. They didn't want me in their homes. They wouldn't look me in the eye. They put up with me because they couldn't avoid me. And I learned to toughen up, to say, I don't need anyone. But when I heard that Jesus was coming, I don't know what moved me. I just know I had to see him. I climbed the tree like a child, but inside me there was nothing childlike left, just a silent question, will he actually look at me?
As Jesus entered the ancient city of Jericho, he was indeed passing through its bustling streets, as Luke 19 verse 1 tells us. Jericho wasn't just any ordinary city. It was truly one of the oldest known cities in the entire world, with significant archaeological remains dating back many thousands of years. But in Jesus' time, Jericho was a remarkably rebuilt and quite modern city for its era, exhibiting strong Hellenistic or Greek cultural influence and a notable Roman administrative presence. Jericho was strategically located in a very important trade area, situated between Judea, Perea, and the Jordan Valley. Jericho was a truly important customs point, which inherently means one crucial thing: significant money, substantial taxes, and pervasive corruption. Zacchaeus wasn't just a simple tax collector. The text says he was the chief tax collector. He wasn't out on the street collecting mere coins all day. He was, in fact, the one running the entire intricate system, a kind of corrupt and powerful administrator of the Roman tax system who possessed significant authority, numerous subordinates, and a whole lot of widespread unpopularity. He probably started out as a young collaborator with the powerful empire, slowly climbing the ranks, diligently handing over crucial information and actively helping to control vital routes, doing favors in exchange for other favors, until he eventually became the local face of Roman oppression. In the Jewish world, tax collectors were synonymous with betrayal. They were deeply hated, seen as legalized thieves because they charged significantly more than Rome actually required and kept the substantial rest for themselves. They were religiously impure, socially marginalized, and morally despised. The Talmud, a book containing the traditions of the rabbis, placed tax collectors alongside criminals. They could not be judges nor witnesses, and much less be admitted into synagogues. They weren't welcome even by God, according to many religious leaders of that time.
It wasn't like that at first. I got into the system out of necessity, or at least that's what I told myself. I knew how to count, I knew how to talk, and I was ambitious. Rome always needs men like that. I started out carrying scrolls, then taking notes. I quickly learned who sells, who buys, who's weak, and who can be squeezed. What I earned was far more than I ever dreamed of, and what I lost didn't matter to me. The price: respect, community, my name. I kept moving up, became useful to the Romans, and feared by my own people. I stopped being one of them. They no longer greeted me. They spat as I walked by. And you know what? I convinced myself I didn't care. I kept telling myself it's better to be rich and hated than poor and forgotten. But corruption doesn't start with a big theft. It starts with a small concession, with turning a blind eye while your collectors threaten an old man, with asking for double on market days, with splitting the loot with soldiers and then looking the other way when someone cries. I didn't allow it. I perfected it. I had a network, people who worked for me. They knew how much to ask for, who to pressure, and how to report back. And what if someone protested? The Romans answered for me with spears. I became the boss of everything and the loneliest of all. You know what's the saddest part? That you get used to being feared. Until one day you realize that no one sees you not as an enemy, not as a friend, just as another thief with a familiar face.
Jesus didn't arrive quietly. The text says, when Jesus entered Jericho, news traveled faster than the messengers. The one who healed lepers, the one who calmed the storm, the one who spoke with authority, that Jesus was entering the city. And Jericho reacted like any city would when someone arrives whom you don't understand, but you also can't ignore. People came out. Children, women, elders, merchants, the curious, fanatics, the sick. Everyone poured into the streets. Some wanted miracles, others answers. Some followed him out of conviction, and many just for the spectacle. The streets grew crowded, steps slowed, and in the midst of that noise, that crowd packed together like a single body with 1,000 intentions, there was one who could not see. Not because he was blind, but because he was small. Small on the outside, but even more diminished on the inside. And that man was about to experience the moment that would change his story forever.
He was going over the accounts. As always, it was a busy day. The boys were coming back from collecting at the crossroads. Some brought more, others less. I already knew who was stealing and how much, but I didn't care. As long as the totals matched, everything was fine. That's when I heard the noise. It wasn't a commotion. It was more like a rumor growing. I asked one of the collectors what was going on. He told me, it's Jesus, he's coming into Jericho. I had already heard about him, that he healed the sick, that he spoke with authority, that he ate with people like me. That was what intrigued me. I tried to get closer. I walked with a firm step, like I'm used to. I thought that if I pushed my way through, like I always do, they'd let me get to the front. But no one moved aside, no one let me pass. Some even squared their shoulders when they saw me. To them, I was the traitor, the corrupt one, the one who doesn't deserve to see the prophet. For a moment, I hesitated. I was about to turn back. Why even try? But something in me refused to give up, so I ran. Yes, I ran, and when I saw that sycamore tree, I didn't even think about it. I climbed up like a child, like a thief, like someone who has no dignity left to lose. All I wanted was to see, even from afar, someone who maybe could see beyond what everyone else saw in me. I clung to the branches, gasping, waiting. All I wanted was to watch. I never imagined he would look up.
It was no coincidence that Zacchaeus climbed a sycamore tree. It wasn't just any tree. The sycamore, also known as the sycamore fig or Ficus sycamoris, was common in the lowlands of Judea and Jericho. Its branches were thick, low, and wide, which made it easy to climb, even for an adult. Its wood was used by the poor, and its fruit, though edible, was considered second-rate. In other words, the sycamore was the tree of those who didn't have much. Zacchaeus, who had everything in terms of wealth, climbs a tree used by those who had nothing. Maybe without realizing it, that tree made him equal to everyone else. At that moment, he wasn't the chief tax collector. He was just a man trying to see Jesus. Interestingly, in the Bible, the prophet Amos says, "I was a gatherer of wild figs." Fruit from the sycamore is the fruit of the marginalized, the forgotten, of those who work with what others throw away. So, when Zacchaeus climbed up the sycamore tree, he wasn't just looking for a better view. Without saying a word, he was acknowledging that he wasn't as tall as he thought, and from that place, Jesus saw him. Not in the temple, not in the synagogue, not in the square, but from the branch of an ordinary tree. Jesus looked up and called him by name.
My heart was trembling. I searched for him with my eyes among the crowd. Everyone wanted to see him, to touch him, to say something to him, but I just wanted to see him, that's all. And then he saw me. I swear. He saw me among all those people, among all those faces. His eyes met mine. It wasn't by chance. It was direct, as if he already knew I was there. He smiled, not mocking, but saying, "I've been waiting for you." Then, without moving, without screaming, he climbed down from the sycamore tree. He called me by name. Zacchaeus. I didn't understand it. How did he know who I was? How did he know my name? Nobody pronounces my name with that voice. I'm not the kind of person prophets call by name. I'm the kind everyone avoids, the one they whisper about as they pass by. But he called me, and that's when he completely broke me down. Hurry, come down. Up to that point, I could handle it. But what he said next was enough to give me a heart attack. Because today I must stay at your house. My house, my table, my story. I didn't invite Jesus. He invited himself, and in that instant, all the contempt, the loneliness, the pent-up anger, shattered as if it had been waiting for just that phrase, because nobody wanted to come into my house, and he chose it.
And so he came down. Not with the arrogance of someone in charge, but with the trembling of someone who had just been truly seen for the first time. Zacchaeus came down from the sycamore tree with a speed that didn't seem like his own. He didn't just come down from the tree, he came down from his pride, from his position. He came down with a heart he didn't understand, but that was already beginning to surrender.
I didn't know what to do. My hands were shaking. I ran to my house. I opened the windows. I brought out the real plates. I told the servants to prepare everything. This wasn't just any dinner. It was him, in my house. I, the man who had servants for everything, wanted to serve him myself.
And then the voices began. The crowd couldn't believe it. Some whispered, others spoke out loud. Whose house did he go into? Doesn't he know who that man is? The prophet staying with a thief. How can he stay with that sinner? With Zacchaeus, the corrupt one, the thief. But Jesus didn't answer them. He didn't explain, he didn't defend his decision. He simply came in and sat down, because the religion of spectacle is scandalized when grace acts in silence. To them, Zacchaeus was still Zacchaeus. But Jesus wasn't looking at the past, he was planting the future.
No one had ever sat at my table without wanting something. No one ate with me without expecting something in return, but he didn't come for money or for power. He came for me. I didn't defend myself. I didn't ask to be understood. I just looked at him and felt that something inside me was shifting. He didn't give me a sermon. He didn't yell at me. Just his presence began to cleanse what I had stained for years. And then, without thinking, I said out loud what my soul had been crying for a long time. Lord, I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much. I didn't say it because of pressure. I didn't say it to look good. I said it because something inside me broke, or maybe, at last, something was rebuilt.
No one knows what they talked about. No sermon was recorded. There was no altar, no formal prayer, no spectacular miracle. But something changed because grace doesn't need a stage. Just a chair, a willing heart. It wasn't a promise of repentance. It was a decision born from the encounter. Because when grace enters a home, the accounts are rewritten. The man who once added up wealth now subtracts from his own to multiply justice. And then Jesus spoke and everyone listened. Today salvation has come to this house. Because where Christ enters, guilt cannot stay. The past isn't erased, but it no longer defines you. Maybe you too have climbed your own tree. Not one of branches and leaves, but one made of titles, of occupations, of well-crafted masks. A tree that gives you height, but also distances you. It distances you from others, from yourself, from God. Maybe you thought that if you achieved enough, if you endured enough, if you pretended enough, everything would be fine. But deep down you know you're still searching for something. Something you simply cannot buy, something you absolutely cannot force, something your very heart truly needs like the air that you breathe. Break time equals 0.5s/, and even though you've spent many years hiding up in that silent, secluded height, even though others don't even look at you anymore, there's someone today who lifts their gaze to truly see you, who genuinely sees you, who calls you by your name and doesn't demand that you come down perfect. He only asks you to come down, not to point fingers at you, not to demand explanations, but to dwell in your story, to walk with you, to dine at your empty table, and to turn your house into a home. To remind you that even though everyone else thought you were lost, He always knew where you were. If you felt that this story was more than just a story, if something inside you was moved today, write to us. We truly want to send you something that can help you reconnect with the one who has always been searching for you all along.